Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Louis from Blue Gypsy Homestead. I'd like to welcome you to this beautiful, beautiful Sunday afternoon. If you celebrate Easter or Passover or any of the other holidays that occur on this day, I wish you all the best. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about, first of all, the ice storm that we just went through, and secondly, we'll get to what this little pot here is. So, first of all, to talk about the ice storm, we here in Ontario and parts of Quebec and some parts of northern Ontario, northern Quebec, were hit by a fairly significant ice storm. Now, the same sort of thing happened in 1998, where we had a massive ice storm, far, far worse than the one we had this week, that actually was so severe that it brought down the main transmission towers in some places. And there were folks who were without power for months. We were incredibly lucky here, and for two reasons. We were incredibly lucky that the storm wasn't as severe as it could have been, but we were equally lucky that we had such excellent response from our utilities. In this section here, we have Hydro One, and those men and women basically busted their behinds to make sure that they could get power back as quickly as possible. And I, for one, am infinitely grateful for it. I was without power for 30 hours, and that makes me relatively lucky. Now, what makes me luckier is the fact that this building used to be 100% off grid. So, in order for it to be off grid, I had a backup generator. I have an 8 kilowatt Generac generator that runs on propane. And so, when the power went out, I was able to. I'll typically wait 30 to 45 minutes just to see if the power comes back, but it didn't. So I turned on the generator and I was able to let it run. So I had heat, I had electricity. I didn't have water because my well pump was not attached to the generator, something I'm going to fix or have fixed. And but again, uh, big shout out to Hydro One crews that were working, are still working, because not everyone has their power back. And some people in Quebec are still lacking power, so I'm sure that the crews from here and the crews from the United States that always help out will be up to give them a hand. Again, nothing like 1998, but still significant enough. Anyway, so that's my big thank you. Okay, let's talk about this now. So what you see here is a vase filled with effectively branches. Now, along my driveway, I have willow trees that I've planted. And I planted willows because those areas going down the driveway tend to be wet, um, at least during the spring, oftentimes in the fall as well. So willows are incredibly good at soaking up excess water from your property. So I planted willows every 10, 15 feet lining my driveway. And now they're actually fairly well established. I mean, it's been about 4 years, and some of the trunks are about 6 inches in diameter, 15 centimeters. So they they're actually quite healthy. Now, willows don't tip young willows. I should clarify: young willows don't typically break because they're very flexible. Um, so it, unlike some of the older willows, some of the older trees where branches were breaking off because they couldn't support the weight of the branch plus the ice. These willows, these branches weigh nothing. And so when the ice coated them, it really wasn't that big a problem. A few branches did fall off. And so I collected those branches. And so what I've done here is I've cut them down to approximately 30 centimeters, 1 foot long, and I've put them in a vase of water. And the reason I do that is because every bud is an opportunity for a root to form. So willows are very unique that way, not unlike some other plants. If you're able, it's effectively a cutting, and this cutting will root, and once it's rooted, it can be put into soil. It can be grown a little bit more, and then in the fall, they can be planted. Why in the fall? Because planting trees in spring or summer especially, is a very bad idea. I have never been successful at it. Some people, swear by it. I am I am very much in the camp of we plant trees in the fall. So what I'm basically doing is I took the branches that had fallen, or some of the branches that had fallen. I didn't pick them all up. They'll be chewed up by the lawnmower when I go over it. But I collected up a few branches and I cut them into pieces, as I said, about 30 centimeters long, 1 foot. And I've put them in water. I'm going to root them. Once the roots form, I'm going to put them in little pots and I'm going to grow them out. My goal is to replace some of the trees that have died off over the last couple of years. There aren't that many, certainly not as many as I have in here, but I can also plant these in other places where there is a lot of water. Again, it's great for drawing the water up. Keep it away from your well, because it also has a great way of putting its roots into your well and basically ruining it. So these, as I said, are down the driveway. So the goal here is to grow what I need and offer the rest for sale. I effectively will be, sell, if it's local, it'll be potted. If somebody was to want to buy them, they could buy bare rootstock. I can ship this in Canada. I will not ship it outside of Canada because I happen to know that customs, having worked for them, on both sides of the border, will x-ray any packages coming in because they want to see whether or not there's soil. The soil contains microbes and nematodes and all the things that we don't want to transport across borders. Truthfully, we shouldn't even be transporting them from one district to another. But anyway, I leave that up to people to decide. I will ship within 10, 15 miles of here, 25 kilometers of here. Most people just come by the farm and pick them up. And so this, hopefully, if this experiment works out, and the experiment being that I'm able to sell these plants, it'll be another stream of income that I'll be looking at adding to the farm. I'll be able to do this again next year. And good, truth be told, I could do it every spring. I could clip off a little bit, form these shoots, if you will, and put it together. It's going to be part of the business plan for the farm. What I'm looking to do is find ways to make the farm self-sufficient as well, so that it can pay for itself. It's important to me that I can put as little of my money, if you will, into paying off the mortgage as I possibly can. I mean, I do carry the mortgage as it is, but I'd like to try and accelerate that mortgage. In order to accelerate that mortgage, I have to find other streams of income. So putting together things like these plantings, putting together any fruits, vegetables that come out of the garden, selling them at farmers markets, monetizing YouTube, that kind of thing, all will provide me with a second stream of income that I can put towards paying off the farm sooner than later. And nonetheless, essentially, all I'm going to have to do is, as I said, once the roots form, and you'll be able to, I put them in clear glass on purpose so that I could actually see. They come out as little strings, and you'll know to pull it out and plant them. So once the roots form and they're potted, I will keep them outside in order for them to establish stronger roots. And once those stronger roots are established, then I'll be in a position to sell them off. Now it's important to catch these before they leaf out, because once they leaf out, it's much more difficult for the buds, or rather where the buds are, to form roots. So this is the ideal time. Honestly, this is now what, the beginning of April, and this is the time you want to catch them. This is the time you want to form the roots. And yes, I would probably still have to clip off the bottoms, but nonetheless, it's, they're very light. This is a very easy process, and I just used a regular set of clippers and sterilize it with a little bit of alcohol and cut the branches. What I could also do is I could add a little bit of hydrogen peroxide to this jar, to this vase rather. In this particular case, I'd probably add about a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons at the most, to this volume of water, which is approximately a liter or a quarter gallon quart. And so what that does is it will kill any, bacteria that resides on the branches themselves. Now, we've just come out of winter here, and so we have a lot of, grass moss, whatever you want to call it, and that can cause problems. So in order to get around that problem, putting a little bit of hydrogen peroxide in there actually gives it a fighting chance. It will not harm the plant. Don't pull the whole bottle in. Again, about a teaspoon, and maybe 2, and then see what happens. Now, if you're interested in getting a hold of some of these plants, and I'll sell them to you earlier if you want, so that you can take care of them at your house and then plant them in the fall. I am very much in the camp of planting trees in the fall. The reason I do that is because I find that the summertime is very harsh. Springtime, if it's still dormant, it's fine. These will not be dormant by the time they root out, so I'll have missed my spring window. Generally speaking, I try and plant in the fall. It's a personal preference, and I just find that I have more success planting in the fall than I do in the spring. That's just the way trees are. If you plant in the fall, they have all winter basically to settle in, and they start pushing roots out. After the snow falls and before the ground freezes down too far, they'll continue to push roots out. And in the springtime, when there's a lot of water, they'll be very happy, because again, they will soak up a lot of water. They will dry up property that is frequently wet, but they do get big. So don't plant them too close together. The plants that I've planted, or rather the trees that I've planted along the driveway, are spaced at 15 feet. And that gives them the opportunity to grow up and out. As it is right now, the canopy on most of the trees is approximately 8 feet, and that's after 4 years, I believe. So they're a very fast growing tree, and very resilient. Again, another reason I love willows. So that's pretty much what I do here. In any case, that's all I really have for today. If you've enjoyed this video, if you found the information to be useful, please, I'd ask you to click the like button. Feel free to leave comments. And if you're so inclined, subscribing helps me a lot. Again, I'm not keeping it a secret that I'm trying to monetize the channel, so I do need to get 1,000 subscribers. Yes, this is the begging part of the video. I'll keep it short. Nonetheless, we also have our webpage at www.bluegypsyhomestead.com, as well as our Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/Blue Gypsy Homestead. If you have any comments, questions, please feel free to contact me through either the Facebook page or the web page. There is a contact us page on the web page. And I'll be very happy to do my best to answer your questions. If I can't answer your questions, I will point you towards someone who can. I don't claim to know everything. I am not an expert in the field. I am just somebody who's learning much like you are. Yes, I've been doing this for many years now, but I'm still learning. And I will do my best to help you out in whatever I can. So with that, I wish you a wonderful Sunday. Keep your shovel in the dirt, the sun at the back, and a smile on your face. And until I see you next time, thanks again. Appreciate you coming by and stopping in. Bye-bye.